Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Murfreesboro, to Stuck in the Middle, NSEN's brand new podcast. I'm Elijah Campbell, and here with me is Victor Benz, Camdon Gathwright, and calling via cell phone is MTSU receiver, also known as Xavier Dupree, X's with X host. Xavier, how's it going?
Going good, man. How y'all?
I'm doing marvelous. How you fellas doing? Everyone else in the room.
I'm good. I'm great. It's great to be alive this Friday morning.
It is an amazing feeling to be here, finally in the studio with you guys.
Yeah, it's nice to have you on. We've seen Vic on the desk.
Let me excuse myself. I said Friday. I mean Tuesday morning.
Yeah,
I'm a little ahead of myself already.
School's out for a week, and we already can't tell what day it is.
Let's get a hold of ourselves, fellas. Come on now.
So Xavier Dupree, we have a couple questions for you.
Okay, go ahead, let them fire.
We had a big weekend in MTSU sports.
Mm-hmm.
We played in the Raycom Media Camellia Bowl, which before we go into anything else, where does that rank upon like just the most bizarre and ugliest bowl names that you've ever heard?
That's a good question. I don't know. The Camellia is Alabama state flower.
Oh, that explains a lot then. Okay.
I'm learning a lot already.
Yeah,
we were dogging it. Before
the Camellia flower is Alabama state flower. This ball has only been going on for this is the fourth year of the ball game. So I kind of read up and it was just they knew Raycom Media was going to sponsor it, but they wanted to have a signature to the name. They wanted it to be the Raycom Media Bowl, so they threw in state flower, so that's why it's the Raycom Camellia Bowl. So
that makes a lot more sense.
Okay, now I understand a lot more. So thank you for letting us have more respect for the bowl.
Yeah, see, we were talking about that earlier. I think I ranked that before understanding a little bit. I kind of ranked it up there, the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl, which is the ultimate mouthful. But bad names aside, played Arkansas State, a 7-4 team. They took Nebraska to the wire earlier in the season, and their offense is known to put up points in bunches. They scored, I think it was 65 against Louisiana Monroe. So the offense can score points. How'd you guys approach Arkansas State coming into this game?
Well, we knew that going to the game that their offense was real good. Going to the game, that's all we heard about is their offense and how they could score in bunches, and how they could put up points on the board. And really, we just went to the game knowing that we had a good defense. Going to the game knowing that if we play our game, man, we can play with anybody. We can stop anybody. So it was just going to the game knowing what we had to do is playing our game, man. It really wasn't nothing special that we did, man. We did what we've been doing all year with defense.
Was there any player you guys kind of zeroed in on offensively or defensively to kind of find either a matchup problem or kind of a big key to the game?
I was a quarterback. Justice Hanson is a good quarterback. So we knew we had to get to him and kind of, rattle him a little bit, get him off his set, and let him sit back there and pick us apart. And that's what we did. We got to him a couple times. Knocked him down, sacked him a couple times, So I thought that kind of helped. And our DBs played real well. A couple senior DBs, Mike Minner, Javon Ward, O.J. Johnson, Dale Randolph, those guys, and the safeties back in the back end. Javante Moffitt and Reed Blankenship, and boy, they had it down on the back end, not really giving up too many big plays.
What was it like just to play in a bowl game, I guess? What's the difference between that and, your normal, rivalry game or any other big game during the season? What kind of was the atmosphere like?
The atmosphere is way different. Like I say, you're not playing at home unless you're FAU. But you're not playing at home. It's a neutral site. The opponent, Arkansas State, they were in the Sun Belt, we were in the Sun Belt, so we kind of familiar with them. A couple of their coaches used to coach at MTSU, so they were kind of familiar with us too. But it's a way different vibe. Like I said, being in a new stadium, you don't really know, a new city. you really don't know what, how the turnout's going to be. But the energy is amazing playing in a ball game. It's unlike any other, man. That's why, you always, a goal in college football is to get to a ball game, to experience that. And I'm happy we were able to get there.
Yeah, for sure. You guys have any questions for me?
Yeah, I have a question for you. Your teammate Richie James just declared for the NFL draft. What are your thoughts on that? Where do you think he'll land if he was to get drafted?
Well, first off, I just want to say that, congratulations to Richie, on a great career. That's like a brother, like a big brother team. And, I hate to see him go, but, I also wish him nothing but the best. I know that he's going to do well. Honestly, I don't know where.
Well, I won't say where, but what round could you see him going in?
Now, before the injuries happened, I thought he was going to be about a third-round pick. I could see him being about a third-round pick before he had, suffered his injury or whatever. With him being injured and stuff now, I don't know. He could fall to, fourth, fifth round, somewhere in that area. I still think just with his body of work, he shouldn't go no later than the fifth round just because of, like I said, he's broken every receiving record there is at MTSU, yards, receptions, touchdowns. He's got the most 100-yard receiving games at MTSU. Like, anything you could do as a receiver at a college, he's done. And so I feel like even though he was hurt this past season, I feel like his body of work speaks for itself, and he should get picked up no later than the fifth round.
Well, that's kind of what we were saying too. He I have a hard time seeing him not get drafted just because he's got a lot of speed and really good hands and make him like a very good prototype of a slot receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of places. There's room for him. There's always a place on a roster, for a guy like Richie James.
Yeah, every team needs a slot receiver.
And he can be used. He return punts too, so he can be used as a return man too. Richie, he can do a lot, man. So he'll bring some value to NFL roster. So we just gotta, go ahead and pick him up to that chance.
All right, Xavier. Vic has a question for you.
Yeah, I gotta ask one thing, Zay. Did you get a hold of the trophy, and how did you feel? Just winning it overall for you and the team. I did get a hold of the trophy. I had to. I wasn't, there wasn't no way I was going, who was going to win or something. I wasn't going to get a hold of the trophy. So I did. And it was heavier than I expected it to be. It was a little bit heavier than I expected it to be. The trophy wasn't just, huge, but it was, pretty decent size. It had a little weight to it. But just winning the game, man. We went to the Bahamas 2 years ago, and last year we went to Hawaii, and those are great places to go for ball games. For 18, 19, 20-year-olds, to be able to say, they went to the Bahamas and Hawaii, back-to-back years. That's something a lot of guys aren't able to do, but we were able to get the win. And so this year with this ball game, Montgomery isn't the Bahamas in Hawaii, so we were like, we put emphasis, not saying that we didn't put more emphasis on winning those games either, but we were like, this is a game, like, we gotta win this game. We have to win this game, and to be able to go out and win the game was a great feeling, not only just for me, but for the seniors too. All the guys that are going out, fifth-year seniors and stuff like that. Sherry Tucker, DJ Sanders, like that Mike Mitter, those guys like that, man, going on their last game. It was great to pick up that win for those guys too. It still feels kind of, every time I go on social media and I see something about the game, it just brings back the joy, the great memories, man. I watched the game yesterday, and it was just like we did it. We did it. We kind of got that monkey off our back. Folks kind of talking about us not winning the ball game, so we got that off our back.
Yeah, it's a big win. Now, you talked about the seniors. What about the guys that are coming back next year? How does this momentum kind of carry you guys forward to make strides for even getting in a better bowl game or even contending for a Conference USA title?
Yeah, I think that it gives great momentum, man. We had to, injuries. We kind of got the injury bug this year, and so a lot of guys had to step up. A lot of young guys had to step up. So we're getting those guys back, and that's going to winning this game is going to give us tremendous momentum going into next season. Getting that taste of success, that taste of being a champion, and knowing that that's just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, we won a bowl game, but imagine if we won the conference, like you said. Imagine if we won the conference. Imagine next year, whatever bowl game we get to, we win the conference, whichever ball game we get to next year. Imagine about winning that. So it gives us tremendous momentum going into the spring, into the next season. Just that taste of winning and knowing how that feels, and the guys are coming back knowing, okay, we want to feel like that going into next year. At the end of next year, we want to feel that same feeling. So.
Yeah, appreciate it, Xavier.
Good.
Yeah, congrats on the win again. That's a big win for the university and the program, and we appreciate you coming on.
No problem, man. Anytime.
And you have a good one, Zay.
All right, you have a good morning, Zay, man.
Yeah, that was Xavier Dupree, host of X's with X on NSEN's new show, and hopefully having his own show as well. What's his Twitter? We need to get people following him on.
Oh, Zay, you still there? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Well, what's your Twitter so people can follow you, man?
You gotta get you famous, man.
My Twitter? Okay. My Twitter handle is _Mike DJR.
There you go. You hear it at _Mike DJR.
Beautiful.
On Twitter, Xavier Dupree, the man.
Thanks a lot, Zay, man.
Go ahead and follow that, man.
That's right.
Thanks a lot.
He'll follow you back too. That's the best part. That was Xavier Dupree. That was a bit like he said earlier, guys. That was a huge win for the program. We've kind of got the monkey off our back, as he said, where we went to the 2 bowl games like recently, and probably in my opinion, especially last year, I thought we were a lot better than Hawaii was. We have a couple potential guys on our roster that could play in the NFL. Guys like Richie James. Hawaii doesn't really have anybody like that, and Hawaii ended up taking it to us. This year, we know they were in a similar position to blow the game late, and they came out and won. Vic, what did you think? What did you like watching the game, especially the second time? What did you take away from it?
Watching the game, for one thing that I noticed about them, that experience from the last 2 bowl games definitely could show on the field. A lot of times, it could be a lot of messy plays or a lot of silly penalties. I didn't see much of that, especially early on for MT coming out. They didn't seem too nervous or jittery out there, which is always a plus. And so I just think that with this bowl game, like you said, it's just going to build on that even more, and it's going to help the program build even more from that. 3 straight bowl games is a lot for a program just getting a name for itself in the country, and finally get one. Like we keep saying, monkey off your back, and I feel like it'll just lead to bigger and better things going forward.
Now, Cam, what do you think? We're talking next year too, because this is, like Xavier said, this is a big momentum boost. Going into next season.
I think this is huge. You got a lot of young players on the team. You had a lot of injured players, and now the young players can step up and finally play and get a taste of, like Vic was saying, of that winning a bowl game. I'm pretty sure they'll have a lot of momentum to go into next season with. So I think this is a huge win. Hopefully we can get some bigger recruits coming in. See that we don't need all our star players to be the good teams or all that. We're a good team that can beat anybody. Well, I don't want to say anybody, but we can beat some good teams out there without our star players. So I think this is a good win for us and give us some good momentum going into next season.
It'd definitely be interesting to see next year. With a healthier squad, I believe will definitely be more of a force to be reckoned with throughout the season.
Yeah, the thing is staying healthy too.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, Brent's going to be coming back.
Mm-hmm, correct.
And that's huge. He made the difference this year. The team made huge strides. So you could tell as soon as he came back, the offense was much better. From being held 10 points against Marshall and losing a tough one to UAB when you basically had no offense going. He runs the ship.
Basically.
And you need a leader like that, and him coming back next year would be huge, even with the loss of Richie. Yeah,
Richie
exactly.
James.
And I believe Ty Lee, he should be coming back, shouldn't he?
And that's
just a sophomore.
And he's a good young receiver too. I think I don't want to say he's Richie James, but he's going to be a great playmaker for us next year. And maybe if he stays for his senior season too.
Another player that really that impressed me, he got that big interception in Arkansas State territory. O.J. Johnson, he'll be back next year. That's it's big for his confidence. Javante Moffitt got his first interception, had his only interception of the year against Arkansas State as well. That's really big, especially considering the secondary is losing Mike Minner. Going into next year, they need guys who are going to be able to experience to face some of the passing attacks that MT faces throughout the conference season.
Yeah, this is with Western Kentucky and FAU.
Yeah, especially now that Lane Kiffin's coaching FAU and doesn't look like he's leaving anytime within the next 365 days. Who knows? It's a year-to-year basis with him. But as long as he's in Conference USA, Florida Atlantic's going to be throwing the ball over the field. They're going to have a vicious running attack and just overall great offense. So you need defense, like a defense that's stout, and we give a lot of guys coming back. Reed Blankenship had an incredible season as a freshman. That safety. So having those guys back and having a bowl win underneath their belt is really big for next year. And you can see MTSU as being considered one of the top 3 or 4 favorites to win the conference next year.
Definitely. Chemistry builder for a must. The chemistry builder just from that bowl will just definitely play a role for next year.
And there's another big game, different sport, big game,
same state though,
same state. all the popular Middle Tennessee sports were in Alabama this weekend as the basketball team took on Auburn. And what are y'all's initial thoughts? I can get to mine later, and I can rant all day about this.
I know you can. My thoughts on it, I'm not gonna say I was disappointed, but I expected more from MT. I thought with Brandon Walters, I thought he would probably dominate. The man looks 7 feet tall, and the fact that Auburn doesn't have anyone that's over 6'8" that plays a lot, you would think that he would dominate. I think they turned the ball over too much, especially in the first half. I forgot how many they had in the first half, but I know Nick
16.
King 16 in the first half.
Yeah, it's hard to win like that.
And when your best player Nick King it turned the ball over the most in the first half, they're gonna have a problem. But they came out in the second half. They shot the ball. They shot the ball extremely well, actually, and they almost came back to win. But I just expected more from MT. I guess I can't say one bright spot. Giddy Potts came alive.
Yeah, his 3-point shot finally.
Yeah, I think he had 19 points, and I think that may be a good game to get him started to maybe score a little bit more, with a little bit more urgency or something like that.
Yeah, and he's one guy that you can't have shooting 33% from 3-point range.
Yeah.
As talented as he is, you can't have him shooting at the percentage he has been all year long if you want to be able to beat some of the bigger teams. You want to be able to make a deep run. Vic, what was your first reaction from seeing that Auburn ended up getting the best of us in this game?
Similar to what Camden was talking about, you would have liked to see MT come out early on, just kind of like how they came out to end the game. If they had started off similar, we would have been talking about possibly a different outcome right now, because we only lost by 6 points, considering how we performed in that first half. So I feel like if we wake up a little bit more in the first half, in the first half, we'll definitely be on the winning side of things right now. Like I was talking about, Giddy Potts, he's definitely still had a good game, with 19 points and all. But Nick King, with him setting the bar for himself so high in the first few games to start off the season, we're going to have to get that for the rest of the year on out. And for him to have not shown up like he has previous games, it just was, like he said, kind of disappointing.
He looked human. One thing we saw through the first 8 games this season was Nick King scoring at least 20 points in each one and averaging 25 points a game. He was one of the top scorers in the country, in points per game. Mm-hmm. Nick King has had an incredible year, and he's easily the front runner. Even after Saturday's game, I still believe Nick King is a front runner for Conference USA Player of the Year.
Oh, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely.
And he was coming into this game. He was second in the country in player efficiency rating, behind only Trae Young from Oklahoma, which if you guys haven't seen,
probably the next Steph Curry, right?
Is getting a lot of Steph Curry comparisons, and the kid can play.
Mm-hmm.
I would say comparing him to Steph already is a little silly, and it's a little bit of a stretch. But at the same time, they play very similar. That's for anyone listening now. Trae Young is the guy you're going to want to watch.
Yeah, he's
before March. The guy's awesome, and he was the only guy who had a higher PER than Nick King going in this game. Now, obviously, this is going to go down since Nick had 7 turnovers and was 4 for 13. But one thing that after the game, that's the one thing I asked Bruce Pearl. Well, I asked Coach Pearl, was like, hey, Nick King was averaging 25 into this game. You held him to 12, and you turned the ball over 7 times. And the one thing he did when I asked how they prepared for him was he said he made him go right. Nick King is a strong left-handed forward, and he wants to put the ball on. He wants to face you up and put the ball on the ground. As soon as he starts putting the ball on the ground, they take away his left hand and then make him go right, and that's when they double him. And that's where most of the turnovers came from. So she had 6 in the first half. 6 of his 7 turnovers were in the first half, and it was from guys coming over and doubling.
I was about to say, Elijah. So, do you think it was more of him getting paranoid kind of with the double team and trying to pass out and then get intercepted, or was he getting it picked off?
I feel like it was him not trusting the offense. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things Kermit Davis said after the game too, was the reason the offense didn't flow is because the ball would instead of moving around the perimeter, making the Auburn defense have to move, because Auburn they love pressure. Bruce Pearl's a coach, even when his time at Milwaukee, Tennessee, wherever, he's a coach that really emphasizes on-ball pressure. And if you're able to move the ball really well and just get guys moving, wear defense out, you're going to have better looks. You're going to have more open looks for jump shots, and it tires out, forwards.
Mm-hmm. Trying to run out to the perimeter.
Especially considering they're not very forward oriented. Anthony McLemore is their starting center, and he's about 6'7". Now, amazingly enough, the guy averages about 4 blocks a game, almost 4 blocks a game, and he had 4 blocks against Middle on Saturday, and he's crazy good, man. To be 6'7" and block the shots that he does, and block some of the shots he did on Saturday, especially Nick King and Brandon Walters. He really did an amazing job on those 2 guys. But with Nick King, like I said, what really kind of ruined the Middle Tennessee offense in the first half was the ball would get to Nick King and it would stop. He became a ball stopper. He became like what Carmelo Anthony was to the Knicks. And
the possession would just end with him.
It would end with him. He would, instead of moving the ball, he would face up, and he would try to take guys one-on-one. And Auburn's game plan, exactly. But Auburn they game planned really well. Give them a lot of credit. Anthony McLemore played an amazing game. Deshaun Murray defensively. Now Deshaun Murray for the game only had 2 points, had 5 turnovers himself and 5 rebounds, but his impact was on the defensive end, and what he did to Nick King, he frustrated him.
Mm-hmm. So Elijah, I know you were at the game. What was the difference in the first half and second half of MT? What did you see better from MT compared to what they did in the first half? I know they turned the ball over less. But.
Yeah, quit throwing it at players' ankles in transition. You catch the ball better when the pass is between your waist and your torso, or where your hands are close to. And they just moved the ball better, and they shot the ball. Well, they really didn't shoot the ball that badly all game. They didn't shoot it well to start, but once they started hitting shots, they started creeping back into it. And the game really hit a turning point when Malik Dunbar got ejected. Homie only played 9 minutes and he got kicked out of the game off of one personal foul, and then ran his mouth a little bit. But that foul, along with the technicals, gave Giddy Potts 3 free throws. and we got the ball back. And I want to say we scored on that next possession too. So that was like a 6-point swing,
Yes.
and that was enough momentum to really give MTSU back in the game. Especially Giddy Potts got to the line enough. He was 9 for 9 from the free throw line. Free throws really kept MTSU from coming back. They played well enough in the second half to come back, but Brandon Walters missed 2 free throws. He was 2 for 4, uncharacteristic. Antoine Johnson was 0 for 2 from the free throw line.
Can't have that from him.
And I think a bunch of guys missed 1-and-1s, and Tyreek Dixon missed a 1-and-1. Like you can't be missing those free throws,
especially if you're trying to make those comebacks.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't. But 3-point shooting wise, if there's anything that we can take away from this game is that they shot better from the 3-point line. We've been about 30 to 35% 3-point shooting team all season long. They shot 50% Saturday night.
11 for 22.
Yeah, 11 for 22. Carl Gamble even hit a 3.
The man that never shoots.
Yeah, exactly. He stepped out and shot 3. Ed Simpson hit 3 3-pointers. I don't know if he's attempted 3 3-pointers all year long.
And with Nick King, only going 4 for 13 from the field, he actually did shoot 50% from the 3-point line himself, going 2 for 4. So that was a big plus.
And one of the threes too was from the corner. It was like a step back, and that was one of the ones that put MT within 10. And he was part of the big run. Nick King kind of came alive a little bit. He scored 7 points in the second half. A couple of those buckets were really big, and they got themselves back into it. Now the game should have been a lot closer if you do hit those free throws, or if you do, get one more stop. Because Auburn definitely cooled off when it came to 3-point shooting in the second half. They shot the lights out in the first half from 3-point range. They were hit 5 threes, 5 14s, not necessarily shooting the lights out, but they were only 1 for 8 in the second half. Wow. So holding them to 1-3, yeah, guys, he got some shooters. Bryce Brown for Auburn was kind of the guy I focused on going into it, because he shoots about 9 threes a game, and he'll hit anywhere from 3 to 6 or 3 to 7. He was only 1 for 8 from 3-point range, so he wasn't hitting. But Jared Harper was one of the big differences of the game. Him and Mustafa Heron. Heron really did a great job of getting to the line. He was 7-9 from the free throw line, 1 for 2 for 3-point range, but scored 16 points on 7 shots, and he was really efficient. He was an offensive leader.
Most definitely, Mustafa Heron was putting on a show. He was hitting some tough shots, making some great finishes in transition. But just a lot of first half momentum. That's what I saw. They just had a lot of first half momentum, and MT was turning the ball over. But I think if we were to play them again, if we were to see them in the tournament, I think we could win.
And that's the one difference between this Auburn team and other Auburn teams. This one actually has a chance. Now their schedule isn't hard at all. They're the toughest team they've played all season long. Even their loss to Temple, I feel like Middle Tennessee State's a better team than Temple. But I feel as if, especially the way they played the second half, they locked in a lot more defensively in the second half too. Really what kept Auburn pushing the lead farther and farther was Jared Harper. Harper had 10 of his 16 in the second half. A lot of those coming at the end on the free throw line, where they really iced the game. When Antoine Johnson went unconscious in the last minute of the game, hitting 3 threes. Ed Simpson hit almost all of his threes in the second half too. The big difference was anytime Jared Harper got fouled and had to go to the line, he was hitting them. Yeah, he was 7 of 9 from the free throw line as well. Him and Mustafa Heron were both 7 of 9, and they were the 2 leading scorers. Those guys as well, and Shuma Okiki? Okay, really hard to pronounce his name. But he's a forward who came off the bench and shot 6 for 8 and had 14 points off the bench. Auburn, in terms of bench points, outscored MT 25-20, which is one of Middle Tennessee's strengths, having a deep team. Auburn showed a little more depth, and the one thing that we all talked about before the game was the MTSU size, and what the advantage they had was that they can keep it in the front court, and they can keep it a half-court game where it's big man versus big man, mano-a-mano. Brandon Walters is 6'10", 6'11". Cam thinks he's 7 foot. He looks 7 foot.
Standing next to him, you're not surprised.
Like
big boy.
The Eiffel Tower. I mean, we talked about it last time, how he's been dominating these SEC teams.
Yeah.
And he
averaged
came out
18 against Ole Miss and Vandy.
And came out against Auburn. He just didn't show up the way we thought.
He fouled out, had 8 points, 6 rebounds, shot 3 for 7.
We definitely need at least one of those stats to be in the double digits for us to have a chance.
Exactly.
Either the rebound or the points. We definitely need more performance showing from Brandon.
And turning it over 3 times in the paint doesn't help either. And a lot of that has to do with Deshaun Murray and Anthony McLemore. Mostly McLemore. McLemore is who was matched up on him most of the game, and being 6'7" and you block 4 shots and you're one of the top 5 shot blockers in the country. McLemore really showed his stripes, and I feel like a lot of what happened on Saturday was Auburn playing really, really well, and along with MTSU, kind of turning it over and making a mess out of everything in the first half. But I agree, though, if they play again, I feel like Kermit Davis can game plan a little better, because Auburn's a hard team to prepare for. They're kind of an enigma.
Any Bruce Pearl coach team.
They're definitely going to be tough out there, no matter what.
But they got a big week coming up now. The win for Auburn against Auburn would have been huge, because it's another resume booster. You need game, especially if you're in MTSU's position and you're in the Conference USA. You don't have many chances to get those wins. That even if you do slip up and lose in your conference tournament, give you enough of a resume booster to get you an at-large bid. Come March.
Yeah, because we definitely need those. Because a lot of people thought we got so short as far as seeding goes last year.
Absolutely.
So a game like Auburn would have definitely woke up some of the people who seed us this year for March, but I don't know.
Yeah, but but like you said, these upcoming games can really change our seeding in this tournament. They they go against Princeton. They were in a tournament last year.
They were, and Princeton pushed Notre Dame to the buzzer. Princeton not looking as good, this year, but
don't let the record fool you though. There's still somebody to be messing with. That team to just look over.
And they're always tops in the Ivy League. The Ivy League is a very underrated basketball conference.
Very much so.
They were really good last year. Princeton came out and shocked a lot of people with how they played, especially in the tournament against a team like Notre Dame. The game against Princeton's on the 22nd. That's what?
That's
Thursday.
Thursday? Or is that Friday?
I have a calendar behind me. I don't know what I'm doing. That's Friday. Yeah, so they'll play Friday.
Oh, and that's the day we do a show, so we will.
That'd be a great preview. Be looking ahead now. Princeton is 4-6. Here are their losses. They lost to Butler by 10. I know someone else who lost to Butler in the last calendar year. BYU, they lost by 9. St. Joe's, they only lost by, looks like 13. They beat Lafayette. They won at Fairleigh Dickinson. Lost to Lehigh. And got smacked up by Miami, who's also going to be in this tournament as well. Losing at George Washington. But beating Monmouth, who is traditionally a pretty strong mid-major team. And then they're coming off a 20-point win against Cal Poly, which is whatever.
I was about to tell you about that Cal win. I'm reading up on it myself right now. It says Princeton hit a crazy 16 threes.
My goodness. Yeah.
And, let's look. Looks like Miles Stephens had a career high with that 16 points. And that's one thing that I feel like the Blue Raiders are definitely going to have to attack on, getting a lockdown on that perimeter, because apparently with Princeton being able to get hot like this, that's something that we definitely have to look out for.
Yeah, then that it's hard to prepare for, because you don't know if they're going to be hitting their threes or not. But apparently they're shooting travels. The game against Cal Poly was on the road, so it's not like that game doesn't travel.
Yeah.
So they're going to at least throw up a ton of threes. If they don't make them, they're shooting a lot of them. So there's going to be a lot of long rebounds. We're going to really have to utilize our rebounding guards. Now, the one thing that Middle Tennessee does have is we have probably some of the best rebounding guards in the country. Tyreek Dixon is an excellent rebounding guard. He almost had a triple-double against Florida Gulf Coast this year, grabbing about, I think it was 10 or 11 boards in that game. Giddy Potts is...
That's a big guy, especially Giddy Potts.
Yeah.
That man he needs to play fullback for our football team.
Yeah, he's aggressive.
He can do both,
He's so aggressive. That's Giddy Potts has and Tyreek Dixon have mindsets of always crashing the boards, which is something not a lot of guards in this country have, especially when you play in a college basketball, Division I college basketball, which is dominated by big men.
Yeah.
And it gives the team that gritty mindset that we need going up against teams,
that also have that mindset, like Princeton. Princeton's traditionally one of those teams that they're always fundamentally sound. Everyone's heard of the Princeton offense. Wonder where that comes from. It derives from Princeton. They always have well-coached teams. They always run a very, smooth, fluid motion offense, and they're going to throw up 1,000 threes a game. They threw up 24. They're 16-24.
They let
against Cal Poly,
See, and another reason I feel like that we need to definitely stop that 3-point shooting from Princeton coming up is that we don't necessarily we can knock down the three ourselves, of course with Giddy Potts, but I don't think we should try and turn this game into a shootout.
Exactly.
Because if we get caught up in that and then we're messing around and be off, then that can turn into a world of trouble. So I think we need to definitely stop them on the offensive side so we can stick to our game on defense. On the offensive side ourselves, getting it down low and then popping it back out for a three if it's open.
Exactly. You don't ever want to play their game. That's one thing that happened to us against Auburn on Saturday. A lot of the turnovers came from bad passes and transition. And that's because Auburn loves to push the pace. Auburn is one of those teams, they love to press. All Bruce Pearl's coach teams love to press. They love defensive pressure. And it forced us to really have to move quicker. MTSU's at their best when they're in a half-court game and they can just slow the game down and beat you possession by possession, because that's where guys like Nick King and Brandon Walters come in best, by just getting a bucket, an easy bucket, almost every possession.
Yeah, possibly off a rebound.
Exactly. And here's the thing, the size is going to help too. Nick King's a big fella. Brandon Walters is a very, very big fella.
Can't say that enough.
And Princeton obviously isn't going to have, that type of size. Will Gladson's their biggest player at 6'10", 6'11", but he averages a point a game. Doesn't play much. Princeton doesn't play. They don't play many big guys. Then they have a 6'11" guy too who averages less than 10 minutes a game. So that's not their game, playing big lineups. They want to play small lineups. They want to space you out. They want to get your shot blockers away from the rim and score easy buckets along with getting open threes. So that's one thing that they're going to have to prepare for. I still think that MTSU should win this game. It looks better on your resume because this is a tournament team from last year, and it's a team that almost beat Notre Dame last year. Probably should have if you go back and look at the game. And they return a decent amount of guys from that team. But I still think it got to be at least a 10-point win. At least
a 10-point win. I got to stop underestimating the little team since they got beat by Auburn. I'm going to go with MT too. I'm expecting a big game from Brandon Walters. I think I'm a fan of the guy.
I'm a fan of the guy.
I think I'm a fan of the guy. I think Giddy Potts finally caught his stride, it looks like, hopefully. And I think the way they played in the first half, I think they turned it on in the second half against Auburn. So I think Coach Harry will get him. He'll get him right. He'll get him right for the game upcoming. So, but we'll talk about that more on Friday. Yeah, for sure.
Do any of y'all think that playing in Hawaii, playing so far away over the Christmas holiday, would make a difference?
It might have somewhat of an effect, but I still think that it might show in the first few minutes of the game. But I don't think it'll take a toll necessarily to where we'll end up in the same predicament having to come back in the second half like the last time. So I believe you think it's Brandon. I think Nick King's going to get back on track. That was his one game off. We'll give him that. I think Nick King will get back on track, and he's going to be the guy that shows up truly for us. And like you said, 10, 15-point win at least for MT.
Hopefully. Transitioning to local pro sports action. This will be fun. Going into to last week, the Titans were fighting for that first place spot in the AFC South, behind Saxonville. And they played against 3-10 San Francisco.
And we talked about the trap game, man. Elijah, you called it.
I called it. Yeah, I said I had the Niners winning. I felt like Jimmy Garoppolo is playing really, really well. And I just had a feeling. As vanilla as the Titans' offense has been, just how boring and monotonous the play calling's been, that it wouldn't change much against a similar team like the Cardinals. Jimmy Garoppolo had another great game, as I expected.
And we were talking about his receivers and Marquise Goodwin. The man went over 100 yards receiving.
And this is the third one in a row.
So I don't. Maybe Marquise Goodwin is better than what we thought. Maybe, but what are your thoughts on the Titans, Elijah? Do you think that their first place for the AFC South is done?
I do. It's because
Most definitely.
the Jags defense is so good, and Bortles is getting a lot better. It's not that Bortles is setting the world on fire, but he's getting a lot better at not turning the ball over. And that was his big problem, was he would throw a couple interceptions a game, make a couple stupid turnovers. What the Jags really need Blake Bortles to be, they don't need him to be Tom Brady. They just need him to be Alex Smith. Because that defense in the run game is good enough. As we saw in their game this week, they won a game and Leonard Fournette didn't play. Mm-hmm. Chris Ivory got the majority of the touches, and they were still able to win the ball game. And you look at both teams, the Jaguars and the Titans, and they're just going in two separate directions. The Titans they've lost 2 games they should have won. You can't lose to this Cardinals team, because this isn't your normal Cardinals team. They're overall, in my opinion, a bad football team, especially without Carson Palmer and Blaine Gabbert starting quarterback.
Fitzgerald getting older.
And Fitzgerald's getting older. That was a bad loss. Sunday was a worse loss.
Especially, I'm sorry, that last drive just broke my heart. It's just they got down the field so quickly and in bunches that it's just like, my goodness. It's like we was letting them.
It's very conservative defensive play calling.
It's like it seemed like every pass was like for at least 15 yards, and
soft zones, man.
It just seems like it was just so hard to stop for the Titans, and that's not good. Going into, like you was talking about, since we have the Jaguars coming up for our season finale. Well, first we had to get past the Rams, but it's just like,
nah, I don't think they do that. The Rams are one of the best teams in the NFL. I think the Rams could beat us by 20, 25 points.
And the thing about it, I'm still not sold on the Rams.
You still not sold on the Rams?
I'm just not. I look at this team. It's Todd Gurley or bust. If you simply can just slow down Todd Gurley and make Jared Goff beat you, you have a chance. I just don't think Jared Goff is that good as a quarterback.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
It's when I look at his numbers,
that takes hot.
I don't know.
He plays good. If he plays well when he's in the offense. His offensive coordinator sets him up for success compared to Fisher from last year, because he's not a quarterback coach like the one Jared Goff has now. But it's like, if you can just take away the easy slot passes, quick passes to Cooper Kupp, and make him beat you going down the field to a Sammy Watkins or maybe a Farrell Cooper, or try to throw it to the tight end, I just don't think Jared Goff's made like that. I don't think he's cut from that cloth yet. I think he still needs some time to develop that. I kind of compare it to how Dak Prescott was in his first season. He had so much options in Cole Beasley, he can just throw it to the slot. But now you see when they bracket up the slot and make him throw it down the field to a Dez Bryant, to a Terrence Williams, sometimes even Jason Witten, he just doesn't make all those passes, or he just doesn't see it. And I think that's how Jared Goff has it. He just has the Cooper Kupp slot position open, and he can just throw it out there and just get those little quick 8 yards, 7 yards. And Todd Gurley just gets the first down, move the ball steadily. And I think that's how Jared Goff succeeds. But if I think you can just slow that down.
That's easier said than done as well. Yeah, Todd Gurley's he's ran for 1,187 yards so far this season.
Yeah.
He's
and the fact that he's coming out the backfield now, trying to be in contention for the best running back in the NFL with Le'Veon Bell. So
most improved, especially considering as bad as a year as he had last year.
Yeah.
So Camden, with all this said, do you think, since you're saying that the Rams are not what their record shows, do you think the Titans have a chance to beat them this week?
I'm not gonna take it that far.
You're not gonna take it that far?
Take that far. Okay, yeah.
I'm not gonna take it that far. I think that now that's another question. I mean, another topic, but the Rams defense, that's no joke.
The defense is what wins a lot of games as well.
Their front seven is no joke, and the fact that the Titans rely on the running game so much to get their play action going to Rashard Matthews or to Delaney Walker, you got to get the run game going, and I just don't see it going against the Rams. And if you're telling me that Marcus Mariota is going to beat me throwing the ball all game,
You can live with that.
I'll live with it.
Yeah.
He still hasn't proven to me that he can be that type of quarterback. So yeah,
I still don't think this is the season for him to do all that just yet.
Yeah. Then again, I always say he doesn't have the type of offensive weapons, but still, they're not going to beat the Rams. But the things I can take away from this 49ers game is the Titans defense isn't that good as I thought it would be against the 49ers.
Definitely.
Me and Elijah were talking about the front seven. The front seven was very disappointing. I think the 49ers got down the field with less than a minute left.
It was like a minute 13, I want to say.
A minute 13. And the fact that they had to do it, they knew they were going to pass it. And their offensive weapons weren't that good. And I was disappointed from the Titans, really. I thought that was a good game for them to win. I thought it was going to be a game-winning drive for Mariota, but it ended up being a game-winning drive for Garoppolo. So
it was the most winnable game they had on the schedule.
Yeah.
You play a 4-10 team in San Francisco, a 10-4 team in Los Angeles. Well, they were 3-10 coming into it. And then Los Angeles, who's now 10-4 after that, and then you have a 10-4 Jaguars team. They've really ruined a chance to win the division because they couldn't take control of an opportunity against a lesser team.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, the Titans were looking good, beating the Colts. Well, not necessarily beating the Colts. That didn't prove anything. But it's just a couple weeks ago, the Titans were looking good, maybe even make a little noise in the playoffs this season. But it's just these last couple games, like you were talking about, it just shows that maybe the Titans just aren't ready for that just yet.
And even after that, you just think about the remaining games of the schedule. They have the Rams and they have Jacksonville.
Yeah,
now,
they're both at home at least, though.
They're both at home, but these are two losable game, or definitely losable games for the Titans.
Especially, because you're playing two of the best defenses in football. I don't care what happened in week 2 when the Titans went down to Jacksonville and just beat the brakes off of them. If you can look at me in the face and say that this Jaguars team isn't this, both these two teams are the same teams they were in September, you're lying. Like, these are two teams that are going in just polar opposite directions.
Yeah, and Blake Bortles, man, I gotta give the man a clap. The man,
something. Yeah, he's earned it.
Even Jadeveon Clowney, before the game, he said he's terrible. Blake Bortles lit him up. And Blake Bortles been playing out his mind for the past 3-4 weeks. I've said the same thing about Blake Bortles. I said him in the middle of the season. I was saying, Jacksonville's a good team on defense, but offensively, as long as Blake Bortles is the quarterback, it's not gonna happen. See what happens when he steps his play up. They beat Seattle, and then they just beat the brakes off of I thought it was a good Houston Texan defense. But
like we said, before, not having Merciless and
JJ Watt,
hurts a lot, but it's the way they beat them too. Because the Titans played that same defense a couple weeks ago and squeaked out a win. And the Jaguars took care of business on the road.
Beat them down. Yeah. it was a no-show.
Yeah.
So
no show.
So yeah, I think, and so this is my question for you, Elijah. Do you think the Titans will make the playoffs?
See, I don't think they win these next 2 games.
You don't think so? So you're saying we're going to end the season 8-8?
8-8 after being 8-4.
Because that's actually what I was going to ask both of you all. But go ahead, Elijah.
Yeah. So and then who else they're fighting for playoff spots? Baltimore.
We have Baltimore,
LA. Well, actually,
the Chargers maybe.
Chargers possibly get in there. Oakland, you kissed them goodbye after that last loss to the Cowboys.
That one hurts a lot.
Let's see.
You got.
Now, it also depends on who these guys are playing, too. The Chargers are a team that I would not want to play right now.
I wouldn't want to play that team either.
Even though they got the brakes beat off of them by Kansas City.
But it's a rival game. You expect it.
Yeah.
Those type of games can happen.
Because here's the thing. The schedule for the Chargers is much easier than it is for the Titans. They're playing at the Jets, winnable game, home against the Raiders.
Both of those could definitely be one.
And the way the Chargers are playing, Phillip Rivers is having one of his best seasons. He's thrown for 3,838 yards. Melvin Gordon's on pace for another 1,000-yard season, and Keenan Allen has had a 3 or 4 week stretch in the middle of the season, which is almost unmatched by anyone not named DeAndre Hopkins. So it's really hard for me to see this Chargers team losing both those games, and that's what you need to happen is for them to lose both of those games.
Yeah, and I doubt the Jets win, especially with Josh McCown now and Bryce Petty in against that defense with Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram on the outside. Oh,
that's an improved defense too.
Yeah, it is.
That's a team I wouldn't want to play, and they're riding a lot of momentum, with the exception of the Chiefs' loss. That was a bad loss, and that hurts them a lot. But they're still in range, to make a play, to make the playoffs.
And then
you also need the Ravens to lose.
I was about to say another team that we're gonna have to look at is the Ravens. But you said we're gonna have to look at the Ravens to lose. Doubt that. They have the Colts coming up this week at home, and then they have the Bengals to end the season at home.
And I think the Bengals have pretty much gave up on their season.
I was going to say,
so those you can easily see Bengals winning. The Ravens winning both of these games, but going up against under 500 teams. So I ain't gonna lie. Looking at the other schedules for people in the hunt in the AFC, it's just not looking good right now for the Titans.
Yeah, it's not looking good at all.
Because that put Baltimore winning both of those games puts them at 10-6.
Mm-hmm. And then with us possibly losing both of these games, or even if we can squeak out a win against possibly the Rams, we're gonna be looking at 9-7. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's going to be good enough to make it into the playoffs.
Yeah, they must win these last 2 games to make the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. The playoffs have definitely started now for the Titans. It's win them all out for right now.
Now, do any of you guys think that Mike Mularkey, who can tell at this point, that Mike Mularkey's job is in flux after how they've collapsed? So they've collapsed. You can't go from 8-4 and not make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's not a good look at all. Remind me again, how long has Mike Mularkey been the coach here at Tennessee?
Second season right here.
Second full season.
His job definitely depends on these last 2 games. If he wins out, is that not even a question?
Oh yeah, he wins out, keep him.
If he wins one, lose one, you got to look at the way both games went. But if he loses out, he might want to start looking at other positions.
Well, is he more of an offensive coach or a defensive coach? And me personally, I think he's more of an offensive coach. And when you look at this team offensively, it's not doing anything. Mm-hmm. The offense is, you said, very vanilla. It's
stale.
It's
very boring to watch. And I'm a Titans fan. It pains me to say this. It's just boring to watch my team from Sunday to Sunday now. It's
they try to make it fun with Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray in the backfield, running the read option. Even let Adoree Jackson come in, run some type of sweeps, little wildcat plays. But the offense is just. It's not good. That's the problem.
Predictable too.
And I don't know if it's him or is it Marcus Mariota. And because you look at some games, you say Marcus Mariota, man, you're playing trash. And other games, you'd be like he's playing good, but this offense is.
He has his games versus Seattle where he'll light it up, and then you'll have his games against Arizona where he throws 3 picks, and one of those being in Arizona territory.
So
and then it's getting to this time now with Marcus Mariota where we can't really just keep making excuses as he's young. He's entering, what is this? After this season, be his 4th year career.
Yep.
We're getting to that time where it's like, okay, he's not the young guy from Oregon anymore. He's the starting quarterback for the Titans. So he's going to have to step up to the plate eventually. So we can't always place the blame on Marcus Mariota. He's had a couple injuries here and there, definitely. But at the same time,
he's got to be better.
He's got to be better. He's got to step up at this point.
That's one of the things when they drafted him. Was because he only threw a handful of picks at Oregon in his entire career, and he's been an interception machine this season. And he's no good when he's turning the ball over like he is. He's no better than Blake Bortles when he turns the ball over like he has. So it's a matter of having a defense good enough to where Mariota can be a game manager, which is the case. I feel like that's definitely the case, and it's a matter of making him win you games and keeping him from losing him. And I feel like that's too much. I don't think he's that kind of guy. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Peyton Manning. He's not that type of guy. You need him to be more like an Alex Smith type game manager. I think he's the quintessential example for that, of guys who just won't turn the ball over and they can still run your offense effectively and still be a team that's contending year in, year out. Whether they do it in the playoffs or not, it's different. That's one thing that separates Alex Smith from your Hall of Fame game managers, strictly just managing games. Your guys like Brad Johnson and Trent Dilfer, guys who have won rings without being exceptional quarterbacks.
Yeah, but overall, I think the Titans season is over. So, and as far as Coach Mike Mularkey goes, if he loses these next 2 games, I think he's out of here.
Good luck.
Yeah, I think he's out of here for sure.
Well, I just think the Titans would be able to squeeze out 1 win, but we'll have to see.
All right, so before we sign off, can we make in the playoffs?
No.
Vic?
Hopefully.
Vic's gonna hang on to that shred of hope. I see another 8-8 season. Malarkey's out, and there's gonna be a lot of pressure on Mariota going into next season. But that's all the time we have for today on Stuck in the Middle. Brought to you by NSEN. I'm Elijah Campbell.
I'm Camdon Gathwright.
I'm Victor Benz.
And join us Friday for another excellent podcast. Follow us at NSEN__MTDN on Twitter.
Follow your boy Ashley too on my personal page, Vic_325. You know, I ain't shady. I'll follow you, babe.
Hey, you'll follow back. Can't say the same for myself.
I'm not quite on Twitter, but follow NSEN__MTDN.
And when the semester starts back, tune in to Facebook Live and catch NSEN Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. See y'all on Friday.